One morning, the chat just stops. No typing bubbles, no scene. Just the white space where their name used to breathe. This is how a person disappears without moving an inch. And the psychology behind the vanishing act begins long before the silence. It starts quietly. No one notices at first. You're small, staring up at a parent whose love has rules. Speak too loud and the walls shake. Need too much and the door closes. So the child learns a single survival trick. If I leave first, the knives can't find me. This is how a child disappears. Not physically, but emotionally. They smile more, they cry less. They become small ghosts long before their hearts are ready, and the world praises them for it. You're so quiet, you're so independent, you're so strong, but no one ever stops to ask, at what cost? This is the invisible grief of those who ghost everyone. And today we're going deep inside the psychology of that child, because the effects don't vanish with age. They shape you. They follow you into friendships, love, your sense of safety. And if you don't understand what happened, you'll spend your adult life repeating the survival patterns that once saved you but are now slowly suffocating you. Let's start with what's really happening developmentally. When children are forced to manage closeness instead of receiving it, psychologists call this attachment rupture. It's when a child becomes the one who leaves, the peacekeeper, the escape artist. This isn't just unhealthy, it rewires the brain. Because when a child is consistently put in charge of their own safety, it creates something called hypervigilance. You're always scanning for the exit. You walk on eggshells. You learn that love is a trap door. You give distance and maybe they'll give you peace. You learn that your needs are dangerous and theirs are urgent. So you disappear, not physically, but emotionally. And in your place grows a version of you that performs well. You become the good friend, the low-maintenance lover, the one who never asks for anything, and you wear that identity so convincingly that even you forget it's a mask. But deep down, something aches. Something screams silently, "Why didn't anyone chase me?" As you grow older, the symptoms become more complex. You might become hyperindependent. You refuse help, push people away, or never feel truly safe in love. You might feel numb during connection because closeness feels unfamiliar, unearned, even dangerous. You might struggle to stay because leaving is the only way you've ever felt worthy. And worst of all, you might not even realize you're still stuck in survival mode. Because when danger is normalized early, your nervous system accepts chaos as baseline. Stillness feels wrong. Presence feels suspicious. Love feels like a debt you'll have to repay. This is the psychology of a child forced to ghost too soon. It's not just fear. It's a complex trauma that reshapes how you view the world and, more importantly, yourself. Now, you may ask, why would any child willingly take on that role? Because children will do anything for attachment, even abandon themselves. The choice is never conscious. It's biological. In the absence of safety, the child sacrifices presence for survival. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. That's instinct. But the tragedy is this: what saved you then imprisons you now. So many of us are walking around as high-functioning adults with deeply neglected inner children pulling the strings. We overachieve to earn closeness. We stay silent to avoid abandonment. We take care of everyone, but secretly wish someone would just ask if we're okay. And that fantasy that someone will notice you're not as gone as you pretend to be. That maybe, just maybe, you'll finally get to come back and be held. That is the unmet need, not of your adult self, but of the child who never got to stay. The first step to healing isn't returning, it's witnessing. Because until you validate what happened, you'll keep gaslighting yourself with thoughts like, it wasn't that bad, other people had it worse. I turned out fine. But fine is a mask too, and deep down, you know it. So what happens to that child when they grow up? They become adults who never feel safe, even in open rooms. They become lovers who can't trust presence. They become givers who can't receive. They become the kind of people who apologize for needing, flinch at check-ins, and confuse distance with strength. This is the cost of ghosting too soon. Because if your childhood trained you to leave at the expense of staying, to be quiet instead of honest, to fix others while ignoring your own fractures, then what kind of adulthood do you inherit? You inherit a life where you're always holding your breath, waiting for someone to give you permission to finally come home. But here's the truth. No one's coming to chase the child you buried. You are the one who must go back and open the door. You are the one who must say what no one else ever said. You didn't deserve to leave. You were just a child. You get to stay now. This is the beginning of shadow work. Not performing, not bypassing the pain with fake independence, but turning toward the abandoned parts of yourself and saying, I see you now. I hear you now. And I'm not leaving. That is the repairing process. And it's brutal because it asks you to feel the grief you never had time to feel. It asks you to sit with the rage, the sorrow, the unmet needs, to weep for the conversations where no one asked how you were, to mourn the innocence you lost while protecting people who should have protected you. But that grief, it's not weakness. It's proof that you're healing, because what was once frozen is finally moving. Now, let's talk about how this survival pattern shows up in adulthood, subtly, tragically, and often invisibly. You might become a therapist in all your friendships, but never let anyone truly reach you. You might be praised for your independence when deep down you're terrified of being a burden. You might be in relationships where you overfunction, always checking, managing, over-explaining, and wondering why you feel resentful. You might struggle with presence because saying, I'm here, still feels like betrayal. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies, learned, conditioned, and the good news, unlearnable. But only when you stop idolizing your distance and start honoring your wounds. One of the most powerful things you can do is ask your inner child, what did I need back then that I never got? You may hear answers like, I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to ask if I was okay. I needed to stay, rest, and laugh without fear. And slowly, very slowly, you begin to give those things to yourself, not to fix your past, but to stop reliving it. This is how you stop seeking safety in silence. This is how you stop mistaking fear for freedom. This is how you stop running from the child you were and the self you're becoming. Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But shadow work demands that we face it, all of it. The neglected, the ashamed, the scared, the angry. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to leave. So, if you're someone who ghosts everyone, know this. Your silence was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice. But now you do. You can choose presence. You can choose to stay. You can choose to stop managing everyone else's emotions and start honoring your own. And no, it won't happen overnight. There will be days you feel like a child again. Good. That's the point. Let that child come home. Let them speak. Let them stay. Let them finally be seen, because you're not broken. You're becoming whole. And maybe for the first time, you're finally learning to stay the right way. Not through fear, not through flight, but through truth. You never had a safe place to land, but you still have a future, and this time, you get to open the door.